Good evening and welcome to Face to Face. For the Newsfirst team, I'm Niresh. The wheels of justice are turning. They're turning slowly, but they're gathering speed. Rest assured of that. And to enlighten us on this process which is going on right now, we have the Minister of Justice and National Integration himself, the Honorable Harshana Nanayakkara, Attorney at Law, of course. Welcome, Harshana.
Thank you, Niresh. Thank
Nice
you for
to
having
have
me.
you after some time.
Thank you. Thank you so
Right,
much.
and of course, you are one of those people who is constantly busy, and I do reach out to you once in a way, and you always pick up the phone, or you call me back, or you WhatsApp me. So thank you for that. With all
I actually thank you, because the way you conduct the show, I also get the chance of explaining to the public in a meaningful manner what we do. It's very important for us. So without all this other things, you make sure that I speak my subject and I get a chance to talk to the public. So thank you very much for that.
Absolutely. And if you do go wrong, I will be the first person to point that out, and knowing that you will take it in the proper spirit. Right. So let's get to let's cut to the chase. There is this feeling amongst the public that not much is going on, and that is basically because the public can't see what's going on behind the scenes, and perhaps the PR machinery of the government isn't quite as active as it should be, but we know as journalists that there's a lot going on. But the first order of the day would be acts and amendments passed through Parliament. There is this constant chatter that nothing has been passed by Parliament this year. And so what's Parliament doing? What's the NPP doing? They can't even write an amendment. They can't write a bill. So let's set the record straight there. Could you tell us what acts have been passed? Because today itself, I think there are so many acts which are coming up, but we'll talk about what's coming up later. And just last week, we had the National Transport Commission Bill, which is something which is a massive improvement and will have a direct impact on public transport in Sri Lanka, and that was passed, with the super majority as usual. But apart from that one, let's go step by step and see what bills have passed into law.
Right. Thank you very much, Niresh. Now, again, the public is of the view that not all acts or all legislation come through the Ministry of Justice. Now, for example, the last week's National Transport Commission Bill came through the Ministry of Transport. So I am privy to most of the acts that are coming through the Ministry of Justice. But almost practically every month, some legislation pertaining to a relevant field has come. But the thing is, these are not the kind of laws that people are waiting to hear. So there's no big celebration, or very few people would watch the parliamentary proceedings also. But I would invite people to watch it, because now it's a little more meaningful debates you can see in the parliament. As much as we speak, but the opposition tend to take it in another direction completely, so they talk about it. Now, for an example, so I will focus on my ministry, the ones that I've been doing on. There's the Proceeds of Crime Bill, that we passed it, and people were very happy with that law, because that is actually a way to recover stolen assets, establishing an authority. So Proceeds of Crime, it gave a lot of provisions for law enforcement authorities to work on a far wider range. But again, now see, even previous governments do pass laws, but what happens? Do they get implemented? They just die a natural death. They just limit themselves onto books. So what I have done is I have called for a committee, the same committee who drafted the professionals who drafted the Proceeds of Crime Bill, to monitor it for 1 year. We will have to train officers. We have to train law enforcement agencies, the relevant application, the practical issues. You see, this is how you get a law implemented. Passing a legislation and then having a fanfare is one thing. Yeah, that should do. People should know about it. But then again, you have to follow up to see that this is implemented. Otherwise, it's going to be limited to the book. So we are in the process of, sometimes educating the judiciary through the Judicial Service Commission, enforcement agencies like that. So that step we have taken to implement it properly.
Now, just to digress a little bit, some of these laws, the names of the acts are quite boring. If you take the National Transport Commission Act, it sounds quite boring. But as a journalist, I can tell our viewers, the earlier act for the National Transport Commission, this is, after all, the National Transport Commission, had limited the powers of the Commission to interprovincial transport only. So that's just a minute fraction of the bus transport in this country, and it didn't even deal with three-wheelers and vans and all that.
Yeah.
And within, let's say, the Western Province, it's the Western Provincial Council which has the authority over bus transport. So if you nearly got run over by a 138 bus speeding on the wrong side of the road, you can't go to the National Transport Commission because they say that's not under our purview. But now with this new act, it's a very powerful one because, correct me if I'm wrong, Harshana, all land transport, with the exception of railways, is coming under the National Transport Commission.
Yeah, definitely.
As it should.
Yeah, I mean, you have done, as always, you do your research before you would ask me a question, so I have very little to add. The truth is, this is what people have to understand. Governments, especially our one, we are trying to do things. But when powers and things are limited and it's not serving the purpose, we have to widen it out. Not many will talk about this Transport Commission thing, but they have to understand. What has happened previously? Transport Commission just limited to issuing route permits.
Interprovincial ones.
Interprovincial.
Like Colombo Jaffna.
Like that.
Colombo Candy.
But Transport Commission means a wider scope. It has to look into the welfare of the people, services provided, all those things have to be encompassed. It's a bigger picture. It's a bigger thing out there. So what we have done, our Minister of Transport, Comrade Bimal, we are taking one thing at a time and fixing it. So little by little, people will start feeling that finally things are working for them. That's why people are tired of laws. They say, oh, you have all the laws, but where's the benefit for us? Natural question, fair enough. That is because even if you have the law, if the political will is not there to deliver them. Now, we are taking steps to import those buses, the low flow buses, which we suggested even during our campaign, that we are going in lorry trucks. These are not proper buses. But I think we are bringing about some nearly 700 or something, I can't remember that, but by the end of this year, by October, God willing, they'll be out on the roads for people to see. We are having metro buses, low flow buses, and for disabled, differently abled people. So, yeah, we may not be able to do the entire country, but they're going to see it. So this all having a holistic approach on transport. Transport, yes, transport providers must make profit. But when the state is running it, it has to be run as a service. Right now, our transport industry is running a cottage service, right? Everybody is running all over the place. But soon, the SLTB will be the one who sets the standards for others. We will use the law, but more than the law, what is necessary? Implementation actions on the part of the government policy. So, when you have a nice clean bus without loud music blaring through the speakers, there will be a natural attraction for people to go to the SLTB. Then the others will have to fight. Now, if you remember last time during vacation, I remember, there's always a problem, just before New Year vacation and everything, not enough buses and everybody rushes and, Guna Singapore is chaotic. This time around, because we knew what was coming, we had everything in order. And then I believe the private bus owners, that thing, they said, don't go in just SLTB buses, come in our buses also. He had to do a press release. Now, why is he forced to make that statement? That is because he is having competition from the state. When people ran down the public transport service, we are fixing it. Yes, 6 months, we have not fixed much, but little by little it will be done. So this National Transport Commission Act bill goes a long way towards delivering service to the people. So it may not look as if, a big bang, but
it's not glamorous.
Not glamorous.
But it does the job.
It does the job.
Right. And now let's talk about some of the other bills. The proceeds of crime.
I've spoken about.
You've spoken about it already, and that is a very powerful Act.
Yes, but we have to establish the authority. We are establishing authority
Right.
under that, so that has to be done.
Right.
So I think the law became effective from the 1st of June.
Yes, and if anyone is asking, well, you passed this law and nothing has happened,
No,
it's
I
because
saw-
you have to establish the authority.
Establish the authority, and also just because you pass a law, from the following day it's not going to happen. It's not academic world. We got to brief the police. Now I have seen the bribery commission already using part of that law, if I'm not mistaken, because I've seen them putting banners. This property has been frozen. So I think they're using that language. So the bribery commission has already got on board, but we have to make sure the rest of the police also works on these things. So it'll take time, but sure it'll be implemented. The other one I really want to talk, one I'm really happy about, is the amendment to the Criminal Procedure Code. We are taking it to another new level altogether. In fact, recently I met the Commonwealth President of South Asian Federation, the Indian gentleman. When I told him about this law, I said, you all have gone a long way. I said, yeah, law-wise, yes, but implementation very important. I am very concerned, Nilesh, about implementation also. Otherwise, they are going to say, you brought the law, what happened? Now, we have a sense of dignity also to protect. So this Criminal Procedure Code is a way that you can bring, without bringing the suspect or the accused to the courthouse, through an audio-visual link, you can give evidence. Now, it took place during Corona time out of necessity. But the practice was discontinued because there's no legal provision. According to our law, the trial must be heard before the accused party. But now, the amendment brought in, you can be in a prison cell in Booth or wherever. That place with the proper video channel link will be considered as part of the courthouse. So, there are some processes to follow. So, with that way now, you remember that killing that happened in the courthouse?
That's right, Halsdorf, yes.
Halsdorf, right? Now, there are about 3 or 4 instances where the magistrate, on the application of the lawyer or the suspect himself, can dispense his attendance in court. If he is detained and it is unsafe to bring him, it's a high-risk situation, or there'll be a breach of public peace, or like that, there are a couple of things. So, if you fall into one of those categories, the magistrate can say, no, you can give evidence from there. And now look at it. So, now a person in Kandakad rehabilitation, for an example, when we establish, doesn't have to come to Colombo. Look at the amount of money saved.
Polonnaru district.
Polonnaru Rehabilitation Center. Now, look at the amount of money we will save. Look at the amount of security personnel's time we'll save. All those things are very important in the long run. And also that provides provisions for witnesses. Now, what are the things that witnesses say the most? They say, we have not done anything wrong, but we keep on going to court every day and we are wasting our time. Now, the professional witnesses, or whoever following the procedure, can even give evidence if you're out of the country. But there are some rules to follow, but that law is there,
yes.
Right? Now, if you look at government analyst, if he has to give a court case evidence in say Ampara, you know how far that is. You need 1 day to go, 1 day to come back, 1 day to give evidence. 3 days are waste of government officer. Now, he can sit wherever he is. We will establish centers, like within the organization itself. You can give evidence. So, I think this is a very, very important piece of law. Now, it's the duty of my ministry to make sure that the hardware necessary or the technology necessary has to be put in place. Now, I'm not going to be able to put all those in one go, but I know that most of the remand prisons and the high courts, we have provided those facilities now. And for me, the most important thing, I've been a child rights activist ever since. One of the biggest problems was when children are in homes or detention centers or remand homes or care, their transport is a huge issue for the probation officers. And sometimes they even get abused in transport, getting transport in prison buses, violating laws. Now, they can give evidence from where they are. They can be cross-examined where they are. So I think this is a very important legislation. So that's why I really took time to explain it.
And of course, as I said before, this PR machinery hasn't got round to it. So basically, most people don't understand the importance of this particular law.
This will save time, money, and provide safety and comfort for witnesses.
And especially witnesses, yes.
Witnesses. And look at it, some people make a complaint here. They're not going to wait till the next 3 years till you hear the case. They might go overseas, they might migrate. Now, how sad they feel if they have to come every time here and to be told, sorry, your judge is not here, so can you come again from Australia, please? Thank you.
Because now, if they don't show up, there'll be a warrant on them.
Now, not the case. At the same time, this law has inserted many features for the safety of the detainee. For an example, within 48 hours, the magistrate, if it's in the High Court, he can order the magistrate of the area, go check on him, how he's faring. Or if there's a complaint of him being assaulted or abused, yeah, then the magistrate must call him. So there are safety features. So this, I'm so thankful for the professionals and the academics who are in this law, because as a criminal practitioner, I know this will go a long, long way to make what you call most court, even to speed up cases. If you look at one of the reasons for cases to go down, witness not available. He's here or there, right? Or the accused is, somewhere there or here. Now, in this way, law-abiding citizens will always finding it very easy to face their trials and everything with this process. So it is now the hard part of, getting court staff adjusted to this, get them used to it. And, no matter whatever the good faith we brought the law in, there could be people who try to work around it. Now, some people are asking me, they told me a politician's name. Now, what if that fellow also tried to avoid coming to court because, there's a particular political fellow? I said, even now there's provision in the law for them to be absent from the court proceedings and give evidence. So, but you have to fall into one of those categories, like, high risk, you have a disease or something like that. So, people don't willingly follow laws, no, Nilesh. They will try to first fight it, violate it. So, but subject to those contingencies, I still feel.
But in the end, they need to get used to it.
They will have to. And even the lawyers will have to get used to it.
Right. Any other acts or amendments you want to talk about?
Yeah.
That's three that we already had.
Yeah, there are a couple of things.
Major
ones. And also
laws.
we brought in recently these regulations on the Anti-Corruption Act.
Right.
For asset declaration.
Yes.
So there's a brand new format which confirms international standards.
So the Anti-Corruption Act was brought in by the last regime.
No, they brought it in from the last regime.
Yes, but nothing happened after that. No one.
What happened was,
one was arrested with that.
That is because it was not activated properly. Because the Anti-Corruption Act, they brought it in because it was one of those IMF.
Absolutely.
Requirements for openness and transparency.
Yes.
We may had some political issues with IMF monetary plans at some point in time, but we were always very supportive of their moves with regard to openness, transparency and accountability. Those ones we were following even before the IMF wanted us to do so. So when we came, we figured out there are certain regulations which had to be brought for this act to be activated. So that was done about a month or 1.5 months ago, because we appointed the new guy for the bribery after our government came in. It's a CC appointment, and thereafter he got into the action. So although the act was there, we could not implement it because those important regulations were not there. So after that was done, now that is in operation. But the regulation I am talking about is a special format for asset declaration. Unlike the previous asset declaration, which was brought last week, I believe, that is for the purpose of declaring your assets, properly categorized, even digital currencies, cryptocurrencies. If you declare and you don't declare, well, then it's not yours, so the state can take it. But no, please don't worry about those things, because there's enough provision. If by accident you have left out a property, you can always put it back in. But there is a provision. If you don't declare, then it's not yours, and if there's no owner for it, then it has to be belonging to the state. I mean, not people like you and I are not going to forget the fact that we have, a 20 million house or something like that. But some people tend to forget that they have those things. So now,
but this is the process in it's the benchmark in the world, isn't it?
It is because you see, now despite all we may have some political criticism with the IMF and their policies, but when it comes to them saying be open, be transparent, be accountable, now our government is willing to go even beyond what the IMF is saying, because that's part of our mandate. And as you know that we are the ones who wanted this on the first place. So now we are putting things in place. Laws alone be enough. You have to put the right people on places to implement. That is far more harder than bringing in the law. But as you can see, the Bribery Commission is very activated with the new law and the new chairman, and we are pushing through. And also, if you don't mind, there are some important legislation in the pipeline within the next few months.
Okay.
I plan to bring in.
So let's get to that, because that was going to be my next question.
That's okay.
But first, we need to take a short commercial break. I'm in conversation with the Honorable Harshana Nanayakkara, Minister of Justice and National Integration. Don't go away. We'll be right back.
Before the ultimate test, join us for a day with the legends.
Will be crowned World Test Champions.
The two captains leading their teams into the World Test Championship final will give their thoughts on this epic clash.
That's a brilliant moment in this ultimate test.
Greats of the game will then become immortalized as 7 new inductees will enter the ICC Hall of Fame.
One of the greatest in cricket history.
Join us on the 10th of June for a day with the legends on TV1 from 9:45 onwards.
Across the nation, talents and dreams are ready to shine. Introducing new faces and extraordinary performances from every corner. We proudly present some of the finest rising stars.
Duffy Crown Season 2.
June 7th onwards, every Saturday and Sunday at 8:30 p.m. only on Shakti TV.
Test cricket. It's not like other sports.
It's not even like other cricket. It's not just about power.
Or speed. It's much more than that.
It's about skill,
intelligence,
Endurance.
Courage.
Some things take time.
evolving, building,
Developing.
It can change slowly or in an instant.
They say it's not for everyone.
but greatness rarely is.
Once again, the saviour. What a champion.
This is cricket at its purest.
The one. The pinnacle.
A battle of wills, of minds,
of hearts.
the mace, the ultimate prize.
Lords, the ultimate venue.
This is the ICC World Test Championship Final.
My goodness. What a performance.
The ultimate test.
World Test Championship 2025 Final. Australia versus South Africa. Live on TV1 3 p.m. onwards.
Far from the city noise, under a mango tree, children turn broken desks into a stage. They sing, they dance, they try. No bright lights, no big crowds, just a small school and big dreams. Change is coming. An open-air stage for the Kattaragama Primary School. Gamatha, for the people, by the people.
Red Ratmalana or WhatsApp us on 076 599 7788.
Test cricket.
ලෝකයක් බලා ඉන්න ලෝකයෝ හැපෙන ලෝක ටෙස්ට් ශූරතාවලිය.
It's about skill,
intelligence,
endurance.
ඔස්ට්‍රේලියාව හා දකුණු අප්‍රිකාව අතර
wills, of minds,
of hearts.
සෙල්ලම ඉස්සල්ලම TV1 තිරපිටියෙන් ජූනි 11 සිට 15 දක්වා.
This is the ultimate test match.
Welcome back to Face. I am with the Honorable Harshana Nanayakkara, Minister of Justice and National Integration, who has a lot to say, and I'm very much afraid we won't be able to cover even half of it in this 1 hour program. Right, but I need to ask you this question, Harshana. Recently, on social media and even in Parliament, people were saying that you have been contemptuous of court in one of your speeches. Would you like to respond to this?
Yes, thank you. Definitely not is the answer. Even before I became a minister for 25 years, I've been an attorney at law. And I earned money and I raised my family on the money I earned from my profession. So I consider that as a temple of justice. And so even before I do anything else, that's a place I respect. So not a single word were uttered in contempt. But what happened was, now in Moratuwa, when our council was established there, I gave a voice cut, which is about 9 minutes. Now there are
9 minutes.
About 9 minutes. But then of course, when you cut it out for about a minute or put a heading, right, it looks as if I am saying because of National People's Power only people are getting convicted. That was not what I said. What I said was rule of law, democracy, rule of law is something we preach when in the opposition. Today we are implementing it. And I said we have created an environment where even the judiciary feel there are no interference or threats. So they can give their judgments according to their conscience and the evidence available. Because this country has a history of dragging chief justices on trumped up bogus charges to the parliament and impeaching them. This country has a history of throwing stones and booing at judges.
And murdering judges.
And murdering judges on top of that. So what I said was we have created this environment of freedom. So when we do that, naturally, right, even the most powerful people can go in. And I took credit for creating that environment. But I never said, right, that is because of the minister who did this and we did this. No. Some people, even though they are well educated, sir, to be honestly, they don't know the role of the Minister of Justice. Role of the Minister of Justice, I don't own the courthouses. I cannot order the judges. I cannot order the Attorney General. They are independent institutions. My success depends on how I fight and struggle to keep them independent. Facilitating them, providing them the services they need, infrastructure they need. So I never said that, but this particular news channel, I mean, they want to create a little story so the opposition MPs can survive for about a day in Parliament, and that's all.
Well, perhaps you should live and learn and be careful about who you give voice cuts to in the future.
Well, you're right.
Right. Having said that, all media are entitled to ask you questions.
Of course. By the way, I think I agree with you on this one. The PR mechanism of the government has to work hard now. Now I'm going to release that 9-minute video for people to see, but this is what happened.
Right. Now, you were speaking of acts to come, but before that, let me ask you, the number of former ministers and MPs and senior bureaucrats who have been arrested, who have been summoned to the CID, who have been remanded, my goodness, it's beyond comprehension. And every day we have to, when we're preparing the news, it's like an endless rogues gallery, which is not to say that they're all guilty, of course, but there's so many who are now facing the wheels of justice, so this certainly wasn't the case under previous regimes.
Or the case when I came to you the last time, about 3 months ago. Right. You asked me the same question. I said, it'll happen, right? It'll take time, it'll happen. So now we are getting the machinery moving.
Right.
Again, by the way, let me be very clear. My job is to facilitate the process. Thereafter, my job is done. But when you leave the independent institutions to perform their functions, they will function according to law. So, can I answer what you raised, or is there? I jumped halfway through your question. I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Right. You see, yes, you're seeing number of arrests, and again, I'm telling the public, do not worry about this. I mean, I know that a lot of media outlets put their various ways, but not everyone who's been asked to come to the CID or the bribery is guilty of anything. Sometimes you've been asked to come to explain what has happened. The only difference is now the political government is not choosing which cases. We are not telling go after him, go after him, go after him. The bribery commission is doing their business. The Attorney General is doing their job, for which we stay out and facilitate. So just because a person has been asked to come to the bribery commission, especially government servants, they are saying, oh, we don't feel like, what's the point when we work, we get into trouble, we get arrested. Oh no, we don't do that. This government is hell-bent on that. You have performed your job right? No harm. The only thing you have to do is go and give the evidence, give the statement. Yes, because now, see, the bribery commission also doesn't, or the AG or the police doesn't arrest just like that. The police sometimes even stop and ask from the Attorney General, is there enough grounds for us to go ahead and charge this person? Only then they make the arrest. So, some opposition MPs are trying to claim that we are on a witch hunt. If you are on a witch hunt, sir, you should look at how the previous governments operated. If you want to know what a witch hunt is. Look at Sarath Fonsek if you want to know what a witch hunt is. Look at what happened to Shirani Bandaranaike if you want to see a witch hunt. The truth is, we are staying out of the machinery. And as the Minister of Justice, people understand it that our job is to keep them independent. But as I told you earlier, when you let the professionals carry out their independent thing without fear or favor, these are the results. Now you saw there was a recent conviction, right? I am not saying it is because our government that is happening, but we have created an environment where the decisions of the judges are decisions of judges. We have created that environment, for which I like to take the credit for the government for creating that environment. But the judgment itself, if anybody want to compliment, please compliment the judges, not me, because I didn't do it. The government didn't write the judgment, and we didn't tell them what to write either. But can't I take the compliment of creating as the government?
Absolutely. I think that's quite fair. Now, on that note, what about the high-profile cases? Because this raises an issue, perhaps in the minds of the public. If the government isn't going to push this case or that case, what about the high-profile cases? And let's take the Easter Sunday attack, but we know where that is right now, or at least I think I know, it is with the Attorney General.
No, yes, but some certain new investigations started after the arrest of Pildan. A lot of new material keep on coming out.
Right.
So they are following those leads.
Okay.
So when you say high profile cases, yes, on a policy basis, we look at litigation which is in the best interest of the public, need to be expedited or investigated further. I mean, we could have also gone with the same indictments or, investigated over, no, they have even filed cases for the Easter one, right? But no, we felt there's more to be investigated. So that's why we are doing it. And soon, when that is done, that investigation notes will go to the AG's department and a final indictment will come. And even if you look at the bond cases, I think it's being activated. And most of these cases are being activated again. Huh? They're just lying dormant, but now they're being activated. So, right. So basically, when the high profile cases, what we mean is ones which has public importance are being given priority. We tell, just look into those cases.
But that's logical, isn't it? The government doesn't even need to
say
give that instruction.
But
the AG's department and the other
now this Kelly Rabukalla's case, we have given massive priority to it. And the Attorney General, not us, AG requested for a trial at bar. I think somewhere on the 12th or so, I think they might start the trial at bar, serve indictment on the trial at bar for Kelly Rabukalla's
human immunoglobulin case.
Medicine case.
Yeah.
So as a government, we have all the right to say, look into these crimes. But what we don't have as a right to say, can you charge him? Can you charge him? No, that's not ours. You do the thing and do it. So these project cases are going on, and also government is focusing on getting these now. We are only investigating filing cases so far. Now these cases also have to be heard expeditiously. So therefore, we may need 1 or 2 courts to, to hear cases on a daily basis. So that we discuss with the Judicial Service Commission and because they are the ones who know. As a minister, I have 2 departments or institutions that I can order. One of them is the JSC, Judicial Service Commission and this is Attorney General. So my job is to discuss with them on a policy basis and tell which policy we should take to expedite cases, but not selected individual cases, but a certain category of cases where the public is awaiting for a news one way or the other, like the East attack. That is not just a political case, no. It is a national crisis.
It's an international one.
International one at that. So I think people are working hard on those things. But as we said, investigations do take time. None of these arrests that are being made now are without evidence. With evidence. So now the trial have to be heard. That has to be done expeditiously, and we'll see how we arrange the courts for that purpose, providing them staff and the apparatus for it.
Right. And let's get back to the original question. Acts and bills and amendments to come. Because I heard there's quite a lineup for the rest of the year.
Well, there's quite a bit, but I will tell you a few that I thought would be of some interest.
You can't obviously disclose everything because it may not all happen.
It may not all happen. Yeah. And also, you know what the other problem? Now, the Ministry of Justice is a place where I can't release all the news also. I can't give press call. If I was a Minister of Agriculture or someone, then it's easy. Oh, I opened this river today, I did that today, I did this today. But here, there are so much of things that I have to keep for the right moment. But these laws are not those. For an example, okay, fine. I don't have that. Okay, one is the PTA.
Prevention of Terrorism Act, which has been...
how many years now?
It's been hanging over my head, certainly, as a journalist and all journalists. But it's been there since 1979, at which point I was 10 years old. So,
and the best part was it was called temporary provisions.
Temporary, yes, absolutely.
Yeah. So anyway, since we gave that promise of abolishing it,
and every government since
said it,
then,
and they didn't do it.
Yes, has said they'll abolish it.
Yeah, and we are in for 6 months, and I'm telling you, give me about 3 months. A brand new bill will come.
Right.
Public consultations are being made.
Okay.
A lot of interested public is now giving us their suggestions and ideas. We are taking them in. And normally what happens is that you have a 2-week window. Once we draft the law, you have a 2 weeks window to go and challenge it for constitutionality. But our government, we started with a public consultation first. So we take them in. Secondly, when we draft the law with this committee, we will open it for the public, like in the form of white paper.
Right.
At least for a month. So every citizen can see it. So if you don't like it, give us ideas then. So after all that, the law we will be bringing in and the PTA will be abolished. There's no two words. The old one will be abolished.
Excellent news.
And the new one that is going to come will fit international definition and terrorist definitions, as well as human rights concerns will be addressed, because most of the developed nations have a law to fight the modern global threats and challenges. But it will not be drafted in a way where people's expressions of freedom will be hampered. So that is in the pipeline, and God willing, within the next 3 to 4 months, I should be able to, if you call me in 3 months' time for this show, I might be able to say, here we are doing it on this day. That will be a political and a personal victory for me. So for all of us.
Now, can I interject here? This 2-week window to challenge, which happens, when it's
gazetted,
placed before, it's gazetted, the bill is gazetted, and then the country is supposed to find the gazette. Fortunately, it's online now. Read it, understand it, and challenge
do the full fireworks within 2 weeks.
Within 2 weeks, which is absolutely ridiculous. Clearly designed to stifle democracy. Whoever wrote it like that. Now, can we change that? Or does it require a constitutional amendment?
Okay, fine. Let's look at the policy of it. Yeah. Policy of it is, when a country needs a law, you need the law, right? What will happen if you keep massive periods of time?
Yes, you certainly can't have like 6 months or
6 months, 8 months. So now is 2 weeks. Let's make it 1 month. Still there will be some complaints, oh, we could not do that. Now this time around, when we opened for public consultations, this PTA, they said, oh, you have not put an email for us to send via email. I said, sorry, will be corrected, email. Then I said, give these things within this time period. Why? Because I want to make sure this thing moves fast. They said, no, you have to extend more time. I said, no, I won't extend more time. But you have put a deadline. I said, even after the deadline. If you have something, give me, I'll take it. The idea is in spirit now. That 2-week window or 1 month or 2 weeks window is there to challenge the constitutionality. Now, just because some law is constitutional, that doesn't mean it's a good law. It could harm people, but still constitutional. Because when you go via an FR, you are not deciding whether that law is good or bad for the people. You are simply saying whether it's constitutional or not. So, but what are we doing? We are opening up a consultation process. That's why I even said, even when we are drafting in the committee for 3 months, you bring in your ideas. And then after it's done, before we present it to that 2-week window, here's 1 more month. Have a look at it. I mean, this is what transparency is about. This is what democracy is all about. This is what participation is all about. People must feel our ideas were taken in. They get the chance to comment on. So for almost all laws, which we can have this time frame, I intend as the Minister of Justice to make sure that public consultation is open.
Now, this is an excellent process as you describe it. But let me point out one thing. You will not always be the Minister of Justice.
Yeah.
And somebody 20 years in the future might say, we don't need all this public consultation, we don't need white paper, we don't need any of this. We're just going back to that 2-week thing and willy-nilly passing things. So why don't you, this is my suggestion,
of course.
Why don't you look into codifying this so that this process is actually...
In your mind, how long should we give for that?
Oh,
in your mind?
Well, I can't really say, because I think it's up to people who regularly, civil society, the organizations, the professionals who read through this, and then they have to draft the challenge to it. So all that. But your process of having a white paper and then public consultation, if all that can be codified, and then that is the official process. Of course, you can have exceptions. Country needs a law for something very urgent. That temporary laws can be passed.
I think what is more important. I mean, I take what you said in very good light, and I think I'll definitely discuss it with my cabinet colleagues and the policy bodies involved. But what you're saying at the bottom line is the requirement of public consultations. The requirement the public have a positive chance of contributing.
Absolutely.
Right? So when you are challenging the FR, what you're saying is, oh, for this bit we are challenging. But the reality is not that. Reality is he's unhappy with some other part of the law. So I believe when we open up this process, right, it will be far more fair for the public. And then you said, okay, fine, I won't be the Minister forever and NPP won't be forever. So what if the new ones who come and do it? Believe me, Nilesh, this I don't know, maybe I'm silly, maybe you can call me a little stupid, I don't know. But sometimes when you set standards, when you set bars in public administration politics, others who come has to follow. Because people's expectations are different now. You think the people who are going to come after us, when I don't know when.
Yes and no, I agree with you about setting the standard, and people who follow need to conform to that. But then you get the Donald Trumps of this world who come in there with literally a chainsaw and say all of it goes out the window, and then what?
You see, public now, we should not assume this. We should not assume, oh, the voter is gullible, he's mad. Oh no, that's what the American people wanted. They wanted him. He's popular there.
Absolutely.
Democracy may not be the best way to govern.
Well, it's the only system we know. It's just not
only
perfect.
system we know. There are no systems of governance which are perfect. We have tried so many systems for thousands of years all over the world, killing each other. But democracy so far seems to be the safest option we have. Now in democracies, people are the ones who are power with the law. When they elect us and say, do this, you change the constitution. You change everything. People say, the power of law, power of making law, power of execution is all the will of the people. So if the will of the people is they want a Donald Trump, then that's what they get. All this time.
Yes, but we've got him too. But that's a whole different...
That's a very pathetic situation we are in.
Yes.
But what to do?
And our delegations which are going to Washington regularly to try to get things sorted.
To fix that, sir, we need economic independence,
Okay.
which we are trying to do.
Right. So, but perhaps I'll discuss that with the ministers concerned.
Of course, yeah.
Yes. Right. Any more acts to come?
Yeah,
you spoke of
yes,
the
I'm sorry.
PTA, which is the granddaddy of them all.
And also abolition of corporal punishment. Amendment to the procedure code and the penal code, where corporal punishment or humiliating treatment would be considered an offence. I know that a lot of people on WhatsApp and everything telling me, why are you delaying it? Why are you delaying it? Look, there's a process. The legal draftman, the COC, yada, 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 and the government machinery doesn't move as fast as I like. I'm pushing it as hard as I can. But that is on the pipeline to be presented, the abolition of corporal punishment. And then the Online Safety Act.
Yes.
Which is already law.
Yes.
Yeah, another very problem. Basically, the OSA is already a law. But there's a commission to be appointed under it, which has not been done. Now, having said that, it's not even the subject of my ministry anymore. It's the subject of the Ministry of Media and the Public Order. So, but the three ministers got together. We appointed this committee because we feel that act has to be activated fast. Because right now, unlike the previous days, as you know, that our government allows freedom of speech to levels that did not exist before. I mean, if you look at social media every day, look at the things they're telling about us. Left, right and center. But we are okay with it. But what we are not okay is harassment of people, their personal lives. They destroy lives of personal people. And also, if you look at the judiciary, the things, I mean, you see, the judiciary cannot make public statements or comments. The Attorney General cannot make public statement or comment. They are only answerable to certain establishment, the AGs to the Parliament. Now, because of their inability to make comments on their own thing, lot of misinformation, destroying their lives, destroying their images. And in fact, people of the Attorney General's department are demoralized. We are working so hard, but this is what the Facebook is saying, right? I mean, look at that incident with the Kadwela magistrate. What happened? Completely and utterly false information, but they cannot make public statements. So I think it's about time. This country needs a law, not to stifle freedom of speech, but to protect people, their personal lives. So therefore, that commission has to be activated.
But are you going to amend the act?
No, basically amending is what we are doing now.
Right.
Amending is what we are doing. Because remember, this act was amended like by 37 clauses at the Supreme Court. Some people are arguing, civil society organizers are arguing that they should be completely abolished and start anew. Now, if you start anew, till about another 3 years, I'll be talking that law with you. But nothing will happen. So what we are trying to do, we have to appoint the commission under that act, and we can't abolish it because right now I believe, although the government, that commission is not there, private parties are using that law. They are filing cases using that law.
That's correct.
So abolishing it at this time is not the right answer. But I said because we are going to consider, we'll appoint this committee of the experts to revisit provisions and to see where it has to be amended. Now it's constitutional, now it's the law, but we want to make it
so it
a
is
little
being
better.
Revisited.
It will be revisited.
Okay.
And if any amendments needed will be brought in. But
Right.
we feel that it has to be done fast.
Right. We are almost out of time, Harshana.
Really? I got about 2 more laws.
Yes. So if you could quickly tell us about those laws.
It's okay. We'll do it on another day, I guess. The other one is the Child Protection and Justice Bill, which is now almost concluded. The committee handed me over. You know that we had a very old law called the Children's and Young Persons Ordinance.
Yes.
It's from 1939.
Yes.
Yeah, so now
the British times. Yeah.
Yeah. I've been fighting to change it from 2005 when I was working as a UNICEF consultant. So finally, I think I'm going to the Ministry of Justice to bring in that law. So that is now almost there. And yeah, I won't take your time, but I think that's where we are.
But there are many more. Many more. Certainly in the pipeline for this year.
Definitely.
Right. Well, I have so many more questions to put to you, but unfortunately, time is up. We can't take any more time, but I will have you back as soon as possible, and then we will look at the progress and the various challenges and all that. So thank you very much, Honorable Harshana Nanayakkara, Minister of Justice and National Integration. And it was on national integration that I have so many questions, but no time. So I hope nobody criticizes saying that you didn't speak about national integration, but the fact is we don't have the time because you had so much more to say on all other.
There are 24 departments under the ministry and institutions. You managed to touch about 21 of them. So I think the people will forgive you for the other 3. We'll catch it up on the next one.
Okay, and thank you to you at home for watching. Don't go away because the news is coming up next. Have a great evening.
TV1. TV for life.
How was a prisoner released without a presidential pardon? Commissioner General of Prisons suspended following cabinet decision. Anuradhapura prison officer taken into CID custody, remanded. What was inside the uninspected containers released by customs? CID questions Udaya Gammampila. Let the CID and judiciary handle it, says Minister Bimal. Harakkata prepared to testify before bribery commission. Permission sought from court to record statement. Mihintale prepared for National Poson celebrations. Sirasa visits the historic Kuragala site.